Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode of our Power Play Tuesday class. We have a new speaker that will be joining our platform. He's going to be talking a little bit about a type of private asset that you might not have had on your radar. I know we always talk a lot about real estate, notes, private entities, and this is one side of that private investment category that you might not have considered that you could use with your self-directed IRA or even outside of. So I'm going to bring Anil up in just a second, but of course, as a reminder, all of the education that we present here today is just for educational purposes only. Quest Trust Company doesn't give any tax, legal, or investment advice, but we do love to put these webinars on for you guys so we can bring people like Anil up to the stage to share his education. So I'll go ahead and take my stuff down. But Anil, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me, Sarah. I really appreciate it. I love your organization, and it's a great opportunity for me. And I thank you very much for having this.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and step down and let you give your presentation. Whenever you're done, we'll do our Q&A, and I'll come back up.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, guys, once again, thank you. I want to thank the Quest Trust Company for having us today. My name is Anil Irfan. I run the business development here at landfix.com. Today, we're going to talk about nurture and roots of wealth is what we're calling it, nurturing general prosperity through land investments. So we're going to take a deep dive into land, investing in land, and how land curtails to true generational wealth, right? So a little bit about us. With a land development company, we are called Landfix. We were founded in 2021. We are based in Frisco, Texas. We are specialized in subdividing large parcels of land, basically taking large parcels, subdividing them, and offering them seller financed. But our number one goal is to help people become landowners and educate around investing and acquiring land. For today's presentation, our learning objectives are a few as we dive into other topics as well. Number one is I wanted to make sure we understand the fundamentals of land investment. Then we'll take a dive into how to actually evaluate land investment opportunities, what to look for, and also some due diligence aspects of land investment. Then there are many different strategies when it comes to investing in land. And so we'll go into and take a dive and provide some details on the various land investment strategies that exist. And then we'll go into a little bit about how do you manage your risk when you're investing in land and also optimizing your portfolio when acquiring property. So let's get right into it. So why invest in land? Listen, we hear it all the time. Buy land, they're not making any more, right? And so the number one reason is the scarcity and taking advantage of the appreciation. Land is a finite resource and typically always appreciates over time. And as our population grows and development grows, that appreciation will continue when it comes to land investment. So number one reason why to invest in land, they're not making any more. So it's a finite resource, and almost always it will appreciate over time. Number two, the versatility of its use, right? Acquiring a piece of land gives you a real flexibility on the types of strategies and development opportunities you can deploy onto that property. So truly is a blank canvas in many ways compared to other real estate investments where you're zoned for a certain structure, or there's a small family home, or it's a commercial. The versatility and the flexibility of investing in land is bar none, and it's very unique. Also, low maintenance. Having a piece of property and investing into land itself, it requires minimal upkeep compared to other real estate investments where you have to fix toilets, you have to collect rents, you have to, so from a maintenance standpoint, specifically just raw land, it requires very minimal maintenance compared to other real estate investments. And probably most importantly, utilizing land, investing into land as a long-term strategic asset. Understanding where development is going and acquiring land in that path of development is a long-term strategic play that you can utilize when investing in land. Understanding that a development is coming or a company is moving into that area, you can utilize land as that strategic chess piece in many ways when you invest in property. So that long-term strategic asset. Okay. Let's tie land into generational wealth. I love this quote. Land is the secure ground of home, the sea of opportunity, and the foundation on which generations build their futures. You can tie almost all of generational wealth back to land. You can tie everything to land. The big developments that you see here in Texas or any other places, you can see that it started with land, and specifically families. And so I wanted to do a little fun exercise and show some of the notable families that own land in the United States and are known for their land portfolios and kind of the difference between them all. So the Singleton family is one of the first ones that I found. They have amassed roughly 1.1 million acres of land throughout New Mexico and California. The Like brother families, they're a 7th generation family. So think about when you're talking about generational wealth, 7 generations of this family have controlled land. They have over 600,000 acres in Florida and Texas. And also the 2 families that I wanted to highlight here as well is the Durst family, who acquired most of their land in the early 20th century, and they acquired it in New York and then eventually built up some of the most iconic skyscrapers and real estate projects in Manhattan. 4th family that I wanted to highlight is the Irvine family. So they originally acquired about 100,000 acres in Southern California. They then went on to develop it into what is called Irvine, California, and they've developed residential areas, commercial districts, and educational institutions. So these are examples of generational wealth that was created from land acquisition, and in different ways as well. They've utilized the land in different ways. So the Singleton and the Likes family, they still use their land and utilized it for more agriculture and farming and ranching, while the Durst family and the Irvine family, as you can see, went the development route, where they went the residential commercial development. So this is a great example of generational wealth that was created from land acquisition, and also different strategies of how to utilize the land being displayed as well. So let's dive into some considerations, things that you would need to focus on when you're actually evaluating a piece of land for investment. So number 1 is understanding the zoning laws. So before you're purchasing the land, you need to thoroughly investigate the local zoning laws to understand what can and cannot be built on the property. These zoning regulations are really going to affect the type of construction is allowed, the land use, and the overall value. So it's very important. And I always say that first is really understanding what your goals are. And I talk a little bit about that in the slide coming up. But it's really understanding what your goals are and what you want to do in the property. When you're looking at these zoning laws, they are going to restrict on what can and cannot be done. Now, these can change whether your property is within city limits or outside of city limits or county limits. But you really want to first thing understand is this piece of land, what can and cannot be done on it. Now, there is also ways to change zoning from agriculture to residential, from residential to commercial. There's ways to do that as well. Understanding, okay, if your goal is to make a commercial building on this land or develop it for commercial, what is it going to take to do that conversion? So these things are the first steps in when you're evaluating that land investment opportunity, what can and cannot be done based on how it's entitled or how it's zoned. Number 2, this is very important. Understand and evaluate the environmental restrictions and conservation conditions. So in many areas, there are regulations and restrictions on the use of the land, and environmental agencies like the Department of Environmental Quality and other gaming conservation area agencies, they will restrict certain uses of the land. So for example, if you are in a property that is on a man-made lake, often the shores of that lake are controlled by the Army Corps of Engineers. So you could acquire that property, but you are not allowed, without their approval, to build a dock, or even in some cases cut down any growing bushes or vegetation. So understanding that, hey, yes, this is a waterfront property, but because of the environmental restrictions and conditions, you cannot build upon it. You can also look at if you're backed up or part of your property is within a national park that is being conserved for wildlife, or the vegetation or the growth that's there. Those things are things that you need to understand when you're evaluating the investment opportunity. Also, and it's not listed here, but also the actual the scope of the land and the slope. Is it elevated? Is it in a floodplain? Is it buildable? So those type of things you need to hone in on and really get a good understanding when you're evaluating this investment opportunity. I'd also add here access. Is it road frontage? Are there easements that are stopping or are defined on that property? What are those access issues as well? And then number three, and this is very important when it comes to acquiring land and even pricing property, is the utility access. You got to check if the land has access to essential utilities like water, electricity, gas, and even sewage systems, because the absence of these utilities can significantly increase the development cost or might even restrict the usability of the property. So now let's say there isn't access to power there isn't access to water there. What is it going to take for you to bring those utilities to that property? A lot of times also when you're getting into sewage systems, is it city sewage that you're tapping into, or are there separate septic systems that you need to put in place? And so all these things are critical when you're evaluating an investment into a land parcel. What is the access to utility? And then probably most importantly is consider the future development. Look at the potential for future development in the areas surrounding that land. What's the proximity to expanding urban areas? What's some upcoming infrastructure projects? What are the economic development plans that can enhance that value of the land in the future? These are key critical things to consider when you're evaluating investment into a land parcel. Let's now dive into the various land investment strategies. Now, again, these are all going to, and it's my number one thing that I say, these all ties into what your goals are from investment. If you are someone that is looking to just buy and hold, you would acquire a property in a growing area or somewhere or acquire a property where the seller is looking to just offload it, but you're seeing potentially a path of development. You can do a buy and hold strategy, which is you're just acquiring the property, not doing much to it, and really banking on that long-term appreciation of that specific parcel. Development, that's another strategy that you can utilize. It's a lot of what we do is you're actually going to take that parcel and you're going to add value to it, whether it's just entitling it from agriculture to residential, which is value in itself, or the things that we talked about in regards to adding utilities, adding power, adding road access, etc. So you can go the development route, which in many cases is capital intensive, but you can create a ton of value add and appreciation just by doing these development features. Number three, just flipping. This is a growing space in land development, very similar to wholesaling, where you are buying land or contacting sellers that have land and putting it under contract at a lower value and then selling it for a profit. This is just buying and flipping land. Same thing as you would be wholesaling or buying and flipping homes. A lot less intensive because there's no structure on there. There's nothing to fix and flip, right? This is just getting land at a specific area where the price per acre, and buy it at a lower value and then selling it at a higher profit. So these are couple of land investment strategies that you can deploy depending on the type of investor you are and what your goals are. So when you're actually choosing the right land investment strategy, I wanted to go into a little bit about how to choose the right land investment strategy for you. So it's always about aligning your strategy with your financial goals, right? What is your personal and family objectives? Are you trying to secure retirement, education funds for your kids? I know someone in my family that has acquired land development, and they use that to fund their kids' college, right? And so utilizing land development and investing in land for their kids' education. I mean, yeah, it's been done, right? So what is the family and personal objectives that you're wanting to do with land investment? Is it just a wealth transfer? Is it what is your investment timeline? Are you looking for short-term gains, or are you looking for that long-term growth? So when you're trying to choose the right land investment strategy, you always want to align it with your personal and family objectives. And on top of that, what are their financial milestones? Are you looking to buy and hold, or are you actually looking to develop that property? There's a lot of different due diligence that you need to do on both of these aspects, depending on what your goals are. If you're just buying and holding, you're not looking for that development aspect, so you're not as much as worried about what the utilities aspects are or how much that's going to cost, because essentially your goal is just to buy and flip. So your financial milestones, are you looking for, passive income from actually leasing or building on that property and renting out or selling? Or are you looking for active income through selling after appreciation, right? So you're always wanting to align your strategy with your financial goals. Number 2, what's the risk and reward? How risk adverse are you? You got to understand what the risks are when investing in land. There's market volatility, there's zoning law changes, there's environmental risk. Liquidity concerns is a big one with land. Once your money is tied up into that land parcel, how quickly can you sell it? Your money is really tied into there, but not really producing income, right? Unless you improve it. So that's the thing with land. It could tie up your money in a long-term commitment, right? And then evaluating the rewards, right? But the potential for, the true potential is in high returns is on developing properties. Like we mentioned, I mean, just having a land parcel is not actually providing you income on a passive level. It's actually developing the property, leasing it out, seller financing it. Those are the ways you actually create income off of a land parcel. Because most of the time, if you're buying and holding, you are holding it for a appreciation down the road. And there is opportunities for steady income through agricultural and commercial leases as well. You could lease out the property to a farmer. You can also lease it out to hunters and things like that. So there is strategies that you can employ to create income off your land without doing much. But again, it's evaluating those risks and rewards when choosing the right investment strategy. And then, hey, we all of us have portfolios, and we want to manage our risk. And how do we optimize our portfolios, including land? So risk management techniques. Listen, you want to diversify, and we talk a lot about this in all your different investment avenues, is diversification across different types of land. Right. So if you were looking to get a more rural parcel that that is going to appreciate over time, but it may be a longer time before that happens, or going for a parcel that is in more of an urban area, it's already zoned for a commercial multifamily unit, and you're looking to sell it to a developer. So understanding what those techniques, diversifying on different types of land can help you kind of manage your risk a little bit. Also understanding and mitigating environmental and legal risk. What I mean by that is there areas where you see there may put or deploy environmental restrictions, understanding that, hey, there may be issues there that may come down the road, that maybe stay away from those type of areas where there is a rising environmental focus, where an EPA type of company can come in there and put restrictions that don't exist on your property right now. So looking at things like that, you want to look at any specific legal risks. There is a lot of land is usually tied into families' trusts, and a lot of times when someone passes away, it's handed down. There may be a lot of people with their hands or entitled to the property. So title work when you're acquiring a property is very important. I always suggest getting title insurance policy just so there's no underlying liens or claims from other family members or anyone on that piece of property and that land parcel. Because a lot of times it is in families handed down, and sometimes they even forget that they have a right to it. And you don't want something on the upfront when you don't do your title or don't do a deep dive into that, and you're working on the property, and down the road someone comes in and says, hey, I have a claim to it. So having to navigate and manage those type of risks are important. And hey, to optimize the strategy in your portfolio with land is to balance the land investments with other asset classes. If you're invested in a small family homes, if you're invested in commercial or multifamilies, having land in your portfolio manages and balances your portfolio in a way that diverses your risk, but also diverses your investment in real estate asset classes. Everyone should have land in their portfolio. Okay, your risk to reward ratio is usually very low, but if you hit on the right piece of property in the right path of development, the return is huge. But just from an overall investment portfolio standpoint, diversing and balancing your land investment with other asset classes is a very smart move. And hey, leverage professional advice and management. Talk to your financial advisors, talk to other folks that are expert in land. Now, what I've learned is, these realtors, there's not many realtors or financial advisors that say that have expertise in land, even acquiring land and giving you advice on land. And again, going back to what your strategy is. So seek out people that know land and know how to evaluate it and will give you good advice about investing in the right areas. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit about and give you some nuggets about top U.S. land markets to give you a better understanding of where you could potentially invest. In 2023, these are the top 3 U.S. land markets, starting with Texas. Now, Texas, even though the transactions in land kind of decreased, but there's specific areas or regional areas where we've seen a lot of land transactions and value appreciation. So about 2 years ago, Austin was a big craze and a big growth there from a lot of the tech companies moving there. We've kind of seen that stabilized. The area now in Texas is definitely North Texas, the Sherman, Bonham, Denison area, kind of that border from Texas and Oklahoma. We're seeing, because the move of some of the top semiconductor factories being constructed there, we're seeing a lot of development and acquisition and development of land there just for the sheer move of people in that area. And so Texas is definitely one of the top land markets in the country, but it's also understanding that not the whole state of Texas is growing in land investment and acquisition. The value of land is definitely going up, but there's certain pockets that have a lot more growth than others because of economic activity that's going on there. So North Texas, that Texas-Oklahoma border, is definitely one of the top land markets in the country just based off value and sheer transactions. Number 2 is Florida. Florida has always been a hot real estate market, and one of the things that's happening there is those metropolitan areas, South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Central Florida, Orlando, and then Northern Florida, like Tampa, Jacksonville, those panhandle areas are really getting developed out. And so what's happening is the land growth and the land acquisition is moving to more of the rural areas that were not developed yet. So places like Ocala, not Destin, but the area of Destin on the Gulf Coast of Florida, those areas are now getting to being developed just because those metropolitan areas are getting populated and already fully developed, and the cost to get into those markets is very high for developers. And so you're seeing those other areas that or kind of on the outskirts of the metropolitan areas, not even the suburbs, but even farther out, that were never developed for, untouched, and not in flood areas, are now being developed. A good example of that I mentioned earlier is Ocala. It's an area that has been known for its equestrian and farming, but now there is a huge, one of the biggest rural equestrian centers coming to that area, and developers are looking at that area and starting to develop it. So Florida is a growing market, as been, but also a very big land market now. Just sheer transactions, they had the most transactions last year. And another one, kind of a surprising one, is North Carolina. North Carolina has seen a lot of growth in the OBX area as well. There is some of the biggest transactions are happening in land transactions have happened in North Carolina over the last year. And so we're seeing a lot of growth and a lot of activity in regards to investing in land from North Carolina. One that I wanted to share that many people are not aware of as an emerging market is Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma has announced some very large economic projects coming to the area. They announced that a $3 billion theme park is coming in Bonita. It's in Grand Lake. That is, the designers of the Disney World theme parks are now implementing and breaking ground on almost a $3 billion amusement park. The Choctaw Indian group, they're developing another entertainment complex that's set to open at this summer, actually, in the Broken Bow Sardis Lake area. And then they're seeing a lot of carryover from the Texas-Oklahoma border. So believe it or not, one of the most emerging markets in Oklahoma, one of the most emerging markets for land and real estate in general is our neighbors, Oklahoma. Now, I wanted to share a little bit of a case study of a property that we've developed. It's called the Eufaula Lake Private Estate. It's a 600-acre property that we've been working on for about a year and a half now. We've put all the horizontal infrastructure in this property, from roads, power, as well. It's a beautiful property on Oklahoma's largest lake. It's a 150,000-acre lake. This shows that since we've developed about 100 lots. Like I mentioned before, we put power and roads in as well. It's a true testament, an example of what a subdivision looks like. This 600-acre was surveyed, broken down into lots, and taken through that subdivision process. So, instead of that strategy of a buy and hold, this is definitely a development strategy, right? But we wanted to share that we took this property, we broke it down into about 90 lots. We have a lot of buyers from the Dallas area come in and acquire properties. We offer these all seller financed. And the case study showed that since our development, we have doubled the value of this property, and compared to other developments on the same lake, we're at around 16,000 acres. They're almost 109,000 an acre. So this is a great example of how you're taking a property, breaking it down, increasing the value just by putting in that infrastructure, whether it's power, roads, or other utilities, right? Now this project is now going into a master plan of a lakeside community, and it is a great testament of how the trajectory of an area can be set. This property was never sold before. It was in a family for since the 1700s. So really setting the trajectory of a whole area is some of the things that, if you're becoming a land investor and going down the development route, you have the opportunity to do so. So I wanted to share this as a case study of our property, Eufaula Lake Private Estate, to highlight that, hey, this is an example of how subdividing a property and the value that can be created, not only for the folks that are buying in as owners, but also as the developers, and the trajectory of the area itself. So for there, I wanted to stop. I do thank you guys for your time. My name is Anil. I'm with landfix.com. please reach out to us if you have any questions. We love to just educate and help folks become landowners and get into land. This is our social handles. Landfix Official is our Instagram. Landfix 2021 is our Facebook. And then please check out our landfix.com real estate podcast. Gives you a lot of insight on what we do. And I do thank the Quest Trust Company for the time here, and I'll open it up to questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I really enjoyed learning that. I took a bunch of notes here too, as well as you were sharing
Thank
that.
you.
Really valuable information there. I think it's really cool how, not only can people do this outside of their IRA, but I'm going to pop up real quick and share a little bit about how people can maybe use it with their self-directed IRA if we don't have any questions. But if you do have any questions, guys, from the audience, go ahead and send those in now. We would love to, while we have Anil here, get those questions answered. But as they're filling in their questions and sending those in, I'll just real quickly bring up my slides, give some of them a little bit of time. Oh, here we go. Looks like we have a question now. So we have one, and it says, what are the most successful strategies in your experience in Texas? Have you experienced, which one has been better? Maybe buy and hold, maybe development?
It's across the board. Again, timing is everything, right? And so the folks that had bought, North Texas land 10 years ago, they'll say that the best strategy is buy and hold, But I think, I would say, again, it goes back to your goals. Are you looking for a quick return, or are you looking for something that you can quick and flip? So I would say that if you're looking for a quick return, buying and flipping is and less capital intensive. Buying and flipping, find something in a specific zip code that you can put under contract that you can buy undervalued, and that you could sell it at a margin, right? But if you're looking for just something that you can long-term appreciate, Northern Texas, that border, if you can buy something there right now and can afford to hold on to it for the next 5 to 10 years, you're almost guaranteed appreciation there. So I don't know if I really answered that. Again, it goes back to what I said in my presentation on your goals. So if you want to restructure it, I would think quick returns. I think buy and flip, and buy it undervalued and sell it at market value. And number two, if you want to do a longer term, buy in the North Texas area and hold it for 5 years.
Awesome. Kelly from the audience asks a question, and we're getting a couple more here, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these up. I know that you mentioned the border and a little bit there in Texas. Are there any other places in Texas, maybe besides there or in the north area, where you're considering that may be good places?
Yeah, I mean, that is the hot spot right now. Salinas, anywhere in North Texas is where it's at right now. If you're really looking for an investment standpoint, right, and you almost guaranteed appreciation there, right, at a higher. No, listen, wherever you buy land, you're going to appreciate, right? But if you want the faster rate of appreciation, those towns, Sherman, Bonham, Denison, all these areas. Bonham is a big one because they have a brand new lake, very Texas, a man-made lake. And so those areas are very powerful areas right now. As I mentioned in my presentation a few years back, Austin was very much growing because of all the movement that was happening there. So listen, just like real estate itself, it has its cycles. But right now I would definitely suggest North Texas as being the best place to buy and hold land.
Great answer. Thank you. Another question we have, not from the audience, but one that we've got kind of internally here. Do you outsource developing portions, or do you do that in-house?
Great question. So again, we're 2 years in it. And one of the things that we learned is you're very reliant when you're developing, you're very much reliant on your vendors, on your contractors, whether it's surveyors, whether it's dozer work, land clearing work, and utility work. Now, we suggest, and we've learned that whatever we can bring in-house, we try to. And just because you're in control of it, time is money. I need roads cleared so I can offer a lot up. I don't have to wait on that person to do it. And I've seen land development companies that are been established for longer, starting slowly but surely bring a lot of the services in-house. So to answer the question really is, you're always going to start outsourced because, I mean, you want to stay in your lane, and you're just getting into the space. You can't bring everything in-house right away, I don't believe, right? But I think initially you're going to be outsourcing it, learning how to be done right and wrong, right? And then assess, hey, you know what? I have so much land clearing to do. Assess, hey, can we just bring it in-house? You have so much land that needs to be surveyed. Does it make sense to bring it in-house? So it'll really just depends, to be honest. But I think you're going to start by outsourcing it, and then learn where you can bring it in-house. Because I think if you start outsourcing all of it up starting off, you're not going to be able to get what you really need to get done, right? And so, and then you become, So I think it's starting off, leveraging the local contractors, who's there, learning how to do it right and wrong, and then eventually bring it in-house because it's just more time, time manageable, better for time. If that makes sense.
I like that. Yeah. One of your notes, you had mentioned leverage the professionals, whatever you can do, that maybe,
And one thing I've learned, Sarah, it's very important. This is key. I think in anything, no one cares more about your project than you. And you can't count on other people to really just do their job right. So you're going to have to, especially in land development, you want to check it, dot every I and cross every T, whether it's submitting plans to the county, whether it's actually checking if surveys are done right, if all these little things. Yeah, you're going to leverage contractors to do it, but you want to be able to check every detail, because one little detail that is incorrect will cost you time, and time equals money in this game. Because if you can't bring these lots to market, you have a holding cost. There's a lot of things, but you can't rely on everyone to just have they have so many other projects that they're either getting approved through the county. You gotta make sure no one has this. Always understand that no one cares about your project as much as you, and it's your responsibility to really, really, really know the details on everything that you do in your projects.
Awesome. Thank you for that answer. We have one other question. Kelly has another question here. How do people find land at lower prices? How can we find land?
Great question. So you can go to county websites and pull the landowners list. There's a lot of people, when you're flipping houses, there's a lot more attachment to a house. So sellers are more open to sell their land than they are selling their house, right? Or given to wholesale. One great way to find the right price to buy is to go on some of these websites and look at the land transactions and see, okay, what's been sold the last 6 months, really comp on the land that you're trying to buy. And you can find the price per acre that way. And so, what you're doing is you're making those offers under market value to those sellers of the list that you've pulled from the county of landowners, if that makes sense. So you're almost, I don't know if you're going to find on market lower value land. I think you have to search for that. I think you have to reach out to sellers in a certain zip code that you want to work in, pull those lists, and then make offers on a kind of lower the market offers based on your research. So I don't know if there's one great place to find land at a lower value. I think you have to understand what lower value is first, right? Is see what the comps are in the area, what the price per acre has been sold, and let's say a Serena. Then reach out to sellers or owners of land in that area and offer it at a lower market. So I think that answers you. It's more of a kind of a technical answer, but that rule of thumb will always make sure that you're buying land at a lower value.
All right, Mike has a question here. Do you sell the land lots before utilities and roads are put in?
Yeah, you can. You just have to be transparent, right? And understand that it's going to be sold at a lower value, right? A lot with power, access, and utilities is valued more than a lot that has nothing, right? Now, I would say you want to sell the lot with road, some type of access. You can't sell landlocked lots. So I think that you would need to have some type of access. But yes, as long as you make it clear that, hey, there's no utilities on this lot, a lot of lots get sold without utilities. You got to be transparent. And if there is utilities coming, you let the buyer know as well, right? A lot of our lots we sold pre-sale, but we priced it that way as well. Once we implemented the utilities, guess what? Price has to go up, right? And so you put a value on those infrastructures the infrastructure that you add. But yeah, you can definitely sell a lot without access to utilities. But I would say you got to make sure there's some type of access to it, though. It can't be a landlocked lot, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Last question. Is there a minimum to invest? Like if you're using an IRA, do you have minimums for your projects?
No, we don't, and we're not a traditional kind of syndicator, right? We're not a fund. We're a land development company that helps folks become landowners. There is no minimum. It's just what the lot is at this price. So, like for example, we have a 10-acre lot right now. It's listed at 108. You can put 5% down on it and finance it from us, or buy it outright. We have a very easy online platform for folks to buy land. That's kind of another unique thing about us, is we've made the land purchasing process very easy. You can go on our website, you can pick the lot you want, and it's going to give you details on it, and you can purchase it right through our website. Now, if you finance it, you can buy it right through the website. If you want to purchase it in full, we do a traditional closing. But there's no minimums, no maximums. We want to help you become a landowner, so just reach out and we'll work with you. But go on our website and kind of browse, and you can acquire it right from our website. So no minimums on investing with us on the land that we have.
If you can, put your contact information down in the, or if you want to share it, I can put it here so that way people can, get some more information about it.
Yeah, if they want to reach out to me directly, I'll give them my cell. It's 214-934-9301. I'll work with you directly. I'll point you in the right direction of kind of what you're looking to do. The Eufaula property that I mentioned is probably the best investment opportunity we have. And I can go into deeper why. Have an investor deck that I can share as well. So absolutely. They can reach out to me anytime. I love talking land. I love talking, what people's goal. What I really love about it is the vision people have, right? You're helping people with a blank canvas, and what they do with it, it's amazing. It's going to be amazing to see. You know what I mean? I've helped families that have bought lots next to each other, and their cousins or whatever, and their kids are going to grow up there, and they're going to have lake houses, you know what I mean? And those memories are going to be created, right? Some of our first families that bought was a family by the Foster family. We were still developing the roads. They bought maybe 5 lots on that road. We got to name the road Foster's Trail, right? Those are cool things that we're able to do. And so, and we're open to any other, since we're open to, we don't have restrictions as of yet. You're very open to what you want to do out there. So we can help make your vision come to life if there's some big development opportunity that you want to do, but also just buy and hold. Like there's a gentleman that bought 5 lots from us a year and a half ago at 10,000 an acre. We are now at 20,000 an acre. So he's doubled in value just from that buy and hold strategy, right? And so those are the type of things I love talking to investors about and folks about in regards to land.
So just to confirm, I got the number right. We got 214-934-9301.
Yep, that's my direct line. Or they can go on landfix.com and reach out through there.
Cool. Want to make sure I wrote it down correctly before I posted it all up there and it was wrong.
I appreciate it. No, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you, Anil. Appreciate you being on the platform and, sharing a little bit about things that we don't normally talk about. We haven't had too many people talk about land, and especially kind of the different aspects there that you mentioned about, differences in development versus, just buying the land and kind of holding it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring up some of my slides and share a little bit about how you may be able to use a self-directed IRA to do investments just like what we learned here today. Anil, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you to Quest Trust, and I appreciate you guys. Hopefully we collaborate again soon.
Definitely. So real quickly, kind of what you learned today, is an asset that may be something that you maybe are considering using your retirement account in a self-directed IRA to purchase. Now, what some people may not understand is what a self-directed IRA really is. Now, I like to explain that self-directed is really just a term that's used to describe the type of IRA and the types of investments and that IRA can hold, right? So an IRA is an IRA is an IRA. Legally, the same type of IRA that you would have here would be the same as anywhere else, but we specialize in being able to hold private assets like your real estate or like raw land or developed land. So legally, like I mentioned, there's no distinction, but what your IRA can invest in here at Quest is a multitude of different private assets. Pretty much the only thing that the IRS says that you can't invest into is life insurance contracts and collectibles. So things like residential and commercial property, improved or unimproved land, LLCs, cryptocurrency, other private types of private entities, JVs, things like that, promissory notes, secured, unsecured. The list goes on and on. Pretty much, if the IRS says that it's not prohibited, you can probably hold that in a self-directed IRA. And depending on what type of account you have, you might even be able to create tax-free returns. So if you have wanted to learn more about this, if something in this presentation today really stuck out to you, you want to learn more or start a self-directed IRA so that you can do deals like this or other types of deals, go ahead and scan this QR code. We would love to talk to you. We have certified IRA specialists on our staff that are really educated in ways to help you work through your scenarios and understand what might be the best for your wealth building plans, right? One thing that Anil mentioned was evaluating your goals, and we want to be able to help to be a tool belt so that you can reach those goals as well. So maybe a self-directed IRA is just one more way that you can add that into your investment strategy so you can not only create wealth for today, but create wealth and that generational wealth for the future tomorrow. So do scan this QR code. We would love to schedule a free consultation with you to speak more about getting started with a self-directed IRA. And then lastly, I want to share our really, really big event that we have coming up this summer. Now, of course, we always love to put on our Power Play Tuesday webinars and our Self-Directed IRA Saturday webinars, but every now and then we'll host really amazing in-person events and conferences even. And we have one coming to the DFW area. It's our 4th annual Quest Expo. And if you guys haven't participated in the Quest Expo before, this is definitely the one that you want to check out. I think personally, of all the events that we throw, this is one where everyone really gets to come together. There's a little bit of education in all types of alternative investing aspects for beginners and for those that are advanced as well. And like I said, it's about everyone coming together. So you have a place to network with other like-minded investors. And whereas the chat is always a great resource, we do encourage you guys to talk to each other in the chat box. That in-person networking experience that you get at the Quest Expo is unlike anything else, with networking sessions, led deal pitching, and types of group, what's the word I'm looking for? Group networking, where it's, you can say exactly what you have, structured networking. There you go. So we want to put all that there for you. We're going to have keynotes. We're going to have panels, breakout rooms, VIP sessions, roundtables, welcome parties. Everything that you can think of will be here at the Quest Expo. And right now, tickets, I can give you guys a 50% off coupon with Expo 50. I'll go ahead and post that in the chat. But right now, tickets are on sale for GA and VIP. With that coupon code Expo 50, you'll get your ticket for 50% off. So scan the QR code, go to the website to learn more about some of the speakers that you'll see, the agenda that you will be able to participate in as an attendee of the Quest Expo, and join the Quest Expo and be a part of something special with about 1,000 other like-minded investors. That's what we're aiming for. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close it out, but want to say thank you to everyone that was in attendance today for the class, and Neil for being able to share his education about land. And then if you guys want to learn more about self-directed IRAs, reach out to an IRA specialist here at Quest. And if you want to get registered for the Quest Expo, there it is one more time for you, and use the code EXPO50 and you can get your ticket for half off. So with that being said, thank you guys so much, and we will see you on Saturday for Self-Directed IRA Saturday.